Hey guys, in this video we're going to be starting 7b.2. Our mastery learning objective is I can write the ratios for sine, cosine, and tangent by identifying the opposite side, adjacent side, and hypotenuse of a given angle. So our first vocabulary word here is trigonometry. Trigonometry is the measure of triangles. Right, the measurement of triangles. Measurement. We should say measurement. The measurement of triangles. There you go. Trigonometric ratios is a ratio that we are going to, I'm going to put that in red. Is the ratio. So when you think of ratio, we are going to be setting up fractions. And these ratios are going to be between two specific sides of a triangle. Alright, so below we have this little table here, and we have these trigonometric ratios, sine, cosine, and tangent, and then we see that there's words, symbols, and then kind of a little triangle here. So I'm going to kind of zoom out so we see all three all at the same time. When we are writing in words, and it's asking us to find the sine of a certain angle. So basically, in words, you would write sine of angle. In this case, it would be angle B, because this is the angle that I'm looking at in my picture here. Right? That's my given angle. And what we're going to write is that this is going to equal the opposite. So the opposite side over the hypotenuse. Over the hypotenuse. One thing to note is that this angle is not always going to be B, right? This is some given angle. This is going to change depending on our pictures. Whatever angle is indicated to us, in this case it was B right here, so that is why I used B. In symbols, the way that we kind of abbreviate is we write sine is abbreviated by writing SIN. Then you write your angle. And this would be represented as O, right? Opposite is going to stand for O. And hypotenuse is going to be H. So we write opposite over hypotenuse. Notice, opposite of this angle is this side right here. So this is where we see our O, right? Our O. And then a hypotenuse was across from that 90-degree angle. And that's where we see our H. So you have to be able to identify what the opposite of whatever angle they tell us, and then still be able to figure out what the hypotenuse is. All right, cosine. And this is going to be cosine in words. What angle are we at? We're still at B. So this would be of angle B is going to equal, and I kind of ran out of room here, this is going to equal the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So abbreviated, cosine is abbreviated as COS. We're still going from angle B. And this is going to be our adjacent side, so A, over our hypotenuse, which is H. Now, adjacent means next to. So, obviously, looking at angle B, we know that our opposite side would be AC, but we don't want the opposite side. We want the side that's next to it. So that would be our adjacent side. And then our hypotenuse is still across from that 90-degree angle, which is our H. Technically, our hypotenuse is next to that angle, but remember that the hypotenuse gets that special name because it is across from the 90. So find that one first, and then whatever angle that's also next to B, that's your adjacent angle. All right, tangent. So in words, tangent of angle, what angle we're looking at? This is going to be angle B. Is going to be equal to the opposite over the adjacent side. So abbreviated in words, tangent is represented as TAN, so tan of angle B is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent side. So again, from that angle, opposite was the one that's across from it, so this is where my O is. Adjacent is the side that is next to it. Notice that this was my 90-degree angle, so the hypotenuse would be AB, but we don't need to know that. Okay, so an acronym that we kind of use to kind of help us out in solving these is SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA comes from looking at all these abbreviations, all these symbols. So I'm looking at basically this column right here, because sine is O over H, right? Opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we see this word SOHCAHTOA. So anytime you need something to remember to figure out what goes over what, you could remember SOHCAHTOA. So let's go ahead and practice some of these, setting up all of these ratios using our example 1 that's down here. And yes, we are going to need to simplify all these answers. We want our fractions to be as simplified as possible. So let us look at here. First thing says, we're looking for the sine of D. Remember, this is our given angle, right? This is our given angle. So from opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, everything is in relation in this example from angle D, okay? So that's kind of like our reference point. So now when we set this up, sine was opposite over the hypotenuse. So from this angle, opposite from D is going to be 14, right? This is my opposite. Then my hypotenuse is always across from that 90-degree angle, and that's going to be my hypotenuse. That's going to be 50. So now in your calculator, if you simplify 14 over 50, so 14 divided by 50, and we simplify it, we do get 7 over 25. So when I am simplifying, that is exactly where I'm getting my answers. I'm simply just plugging it into my calculator, and it's going to simplify my ratio form. All right, now I'm going to look for the cosine of D. So again, given angle, I'm still at D. Cosine is the adjacent side over H. So what's nice is that I already labeled my triangle in relation to D, so I already still know that my hypotenuse is 50. That does not change. Adjacent means the side that's next to. So I already labeled the opposite, I labeled the hypotenuse, so the only one that's left over is my adjacent side right there, and that is going to be 48. When I simplify 48 over 50, this is going to be 24 over 25. All right, tangent of D. So tangent now is the opposite over the adjacent. So again, opposite of D is still 14. Adjacent to D is 48. And then I simplify. 14 divided by 48 is 7 over 24. All right, so those are all my fractions in relation to my given angle D. Now I'm going to look at angle, looks like my reference point is now angle E. So that's going to switch things up because now this is the angle I am looking at. So from angle E, when I set up my sine, right, sine of E is opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite from angle E, so go from this angle, basically draw a line to the other side, and that's going to make 48 my O now. So this is going to be 48. My hypotenuse, however, still stays the same, right? Because the hypotenuse is still opposite of the 90. So this is still my H, right? That's not going to change no matter what our given point is. So 48 over 50 simplifies to 24 over 25. Cosine of E is the adjacent side over hypotenuse. So again, I know my hypotenuse is 50, that's not changing, but my adjacent side is the other side that's next to angle E. So this would be my adjacent side, right? So now my adjacent side is 14. And 14 over 50 simplifies to 7 over 25. Tangent of E is my opposite side over my adjacent side. So I look back, opposite of E was 48. My adjacent side next to angle E was 14. I already labeled that as A. So this is going to be 24 over 7. All right, so looking at our next couple of examples, so flipping it over, that brings me to example number 2. So it tells me to find the sine, cosine, and tangent of angle E. So again, before I even set anything up, I'm going to just go ahead and label my triangle. So from angle E, I know that opposite of angle E is 24, so that's my O. My hypotenuse is across from the 90-degree angle. So that's my hypotenuse, which leaves my adjacent angle to be the other side that's next to it, other than the hypotenuse, and that's 18. So I've already labeled my O, A, and H, which is going to make it a lot easier when I set up every single fraction here. So the first thing is I want to find, it asks me the sine, so I'm going to say sine of E. Sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite of E was 24. My hypotenuse was 30. 24 over 30 simplifies to 4/5. And then I'm looking at the cosine. Cosine of E is the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Adjacent to E was 18. Hypotenuse is still 30, that doesn't change. And 18 over 30 is 3/5. Last one it asked us to find was the tangent. So tangent of E is equal to the opposite over the adjacent side. So opposite of E is 24. Adjacent side is 18. And 24 over 18 simplifies to 4/3. All right. Last example here is example number 3. I'm going to start off with my first given angle. So my first given angle here is angle B. So from B, looking at angle B, this is my opposite side. And my hypotenuse doesn't change. I'm going to just make it in a different color, right? Because if I have two different focal or given angles, this is always going to be my hypotenuse. And then my adjacent angle from angle B is 30. All right, so looking at letter A, the sine of B is going to be opposite. Let's do it in pink. So opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite of B was 16. My hypotenuse was 34. And 16 over 34 simplifies to 8 over 17. Looking at letter B, I do see that my given angle changes, right? I'm not looking at B anymore. So I'm going to skip that for right now, and I'm going to try to do all the given angles from B, which is going to take me to letter D right here, right? This is angle B right here. And it's asking me to solve for the tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So opposite of B is 16. The adjacent side is 30. So 16 over 30 is going to simplify to 8 over 15. Now I'm going to go back and find my other given angle. So my other given angle was A. So I'm going to look at angle A here. If I could change my colors. So angle A is right here. It's going to switch up what my opposite is, right? Opposite is going to be 30 now. My hypotenuse still stays the same because that's across from the 90. And 16, though, is my adjacent angle now. So now I'm basically going to ignore all these other letters because I'm looking from our given angle of A. So sine of A is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite of A was 30. Our hypotenuse stayed the same as 34. And 30 over 34 simplifies to 15 over 17. Letter B now, asking us to solve for the cosine of A. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So again, from angle A, the adjacent side is 16. And the hypotenuse side is still 34. And when we simplify 16 over 34, that gives us 8 over 17. All right, so that brings us to the end of this video. So go ahead and work on activity 7B.2. Good luck.